Yesterday we have looked at some statistics and features of Korean unemployment insurance system, and then I think this is the last slide you have seen yesterday. So it shows that number of beneficiaries have been increasing. Now it has been basically stabilized because the system itself is probably became stabilized. But as you can see that number of beneficiaries is sensitive to the economic cycle. Okay, when the economy is bad, it usually shoots up. So actually, it's quite often that number of unemployment insurance claimants, those number of people who claim for unemployment insurance, is often used to as some type of indication of the labor market situation, because the official statistics of unemployment usually takes time to get the official statistic, because they have to do a survey and they have to collect the data and clean the data. It usually takes a few months to get the actual numbers. Okay, but these unemployment insurance beneficiaries or the claimants' numbers are generally much quicker. So it is often used as some type of unofficial statistics for the unemployment. So it's interesting to track how the numbers change when the global economic crisis of 2008 started. Then one of the first news was that there was a surge of people who claim for unemployment insurance benefit around the world. So it's, in that way, it's quite an interesting statistic, useful statistic. Okay, now one term you need to know is the replacement rate. So replacement rate is how much the benefit replaces the individual's income, wage. So you can think of this way: it's like a amount of benefit divided by the person's salary before they lost their job. Okay? So as I said, that the unemployment insurance system of Korea is basically targets 50%. Okay? So this is the basically it hits around the target. So on average, it's 50%. So this is the average daily wage of unemployment insurance claimants. But if you actually look at the reference rate to the gross monthly wage of all workers, not only those who claim for benefits, these are for all workers, it's around 30%. The reason is that unemployment insurance claimants are generally, on average, lower wage workers. Okay? So lower wage workers who work in companies that are unstable, okay, they experience more unemployment episodes, so they are more likely to claim for benefit. So if you compare it to more general statistics, it's around 30%. And also the replacement rate itself is designed to be progressive because it has minimum and maximum, right? So for the low wage workers, the replacement rate can be relatively quite high, okay, because of the minimum. But if you are relatively high wage worker, because of the maximum, the replacement rate will be lower. Okay. So the situation you can see here is that there is no statistic directly about the income, but it has a statistic for those how large the employer was. So usually in Korea's case, smaller companies pay lower wage. So as you can see, the smaller companies, the employees, former employees of smaller companies, they have replacement rate is very high, like 70%, so above 50%. But if you go to larger companies, they are likely to be higher paid workers, then their replacement rate is actually lower, it's 40%. For these, lower than 40%. So as you can see that as you knew from yesterday, that the maximum amount of unemployment insurance benefit is in Korea's money about 1 million and 1.3 million won per month. Okay, so that's the maximum, 1.3 million won. So usually people probably get close to maximum anyway. So 1.3 million won. So if your wage is 2.6, it's exactly 50%. Okay, so if your wage is above 2.6, then it's below the 50%. So most of cases, for those who work in, let's say, mid-sized to large firms, generally their replacement rate is lower. And this is the unemployment insurance beneficiaries divided by unemployed. So basically it shows what percentage of unemployed people get unemployment insurance benefit. So in a way, the target should be close to, let's say, 100%, right? But in actual case, we don't have statistic up to this time. So 2010, it's around 40%. So it's not that high. Probably because lots of them are not qualified, okay? And some of them have no coverage in the first place, okay? So those kind of reasons can explain why, okay? Or probably some people simply don't apply. Yeah. Okay, so this is the public expenditure you have seen. I think I've shown before probably. The Korea's, this one includes unemployment benefit and early retirement. And as you can see, Korea's percentage of GDP unemployment benefit is very, very low. It's below 0.5%. Okay. In other countries, it's much higher. Probably one reason is that there are more unemployed. Okay. Another is that they generally pay more. Okay. And for longer period of time. So obviously, if they pay more and for longer period of time, then overall they may have higher percentage. So in Korea's case, anyway, it has been increasing. In European countries, actually, it's decreased recently. Okay, so Germany has decreased a lot, okay. and France a little bit. I think it's what happened was some type of reform and stuff. Okay, now replacement rates. 2007, Korea's replacement rate is about 30%. Okay, compared to, let's say, monthly wage. But you can see that most countries, in European countries, their replacement rate is very, very high. Okay. So UK, except for UK and US, it's similar. But Switzerland or Germany, Japan, I don't know why. Okay, that's the first year, second year, third year, right? So this is how much they get in the first year of unemployment, and second year unemployment, and third year unemployment. As you can see, in Korea's case, their expiration is shorter than 1 year. So there is no second or third year. But some countries, they can get the benefit for a number of years. So in Korea, it's 30%. In Switzerland, for example, in 2007, at least for the first year, it's very high, 80%. And then it drops it. Okay. So France also have the same similar structure. Most countries have that kind of structure. So they give higher benefit at first, but if the person stays on the unemployment benefit roll for a longer period of time, they reduce the benefit. And at some point, they stop altogether. So in the OECD average, you can see at first it's above 50%, second year 40%, third year it's a median, third year it's about 25%. So, I mean, there is obviously an economic reason. Okay? If the person stays longer on unemployment, depending on unemployment benefit, in a way that they are just basically taking advantage of unemployment benefit to extend their period of unemployment. So it make it less generous so that it gives incentive to individuals to find a job quicker. Okay? So there is actually very interesting, I mean, there's a long history of study about the effect of unemployment benefit on unemployment itself. So we will learn about it now. Okay, now the thing is this. Unemployment insurance itself tries to protect unemployed individuals from poverty in a sense. It gives income while they are looking for a job. But unemployment insurance itself can affect the individual's behavior about the unemployment. So that's the part that we want to learn about. Okay? So there's a feedback, right? So unemployment insurance itself can change how they behave while they are unemployed. So that's the part. So to do it, we have to learn a little bit about job search model. Okay, so let's look at job search model first. Okay, the job search. Now, when you learn economics for the first time, let's say, and then we actually have learned the basic theory of labor market. Okay, in the labor market, basically what happens is that in the very simple model, we have labor supply and labor demand. When it meets, we have an equilibrium. Okay, so in that model, it gives the impression that jobs and workers are matched immediately, right? So when the supply goes up or demand goes down, then you move to new equilibrium, something like that. And some people will lose jobs or some people get jobs. Okay? So we don't actually talk about how they let's say, move from, let's say, unemployment to employment. Because in the sense that in the model, we did not consider that part. Okay? But in reality, okay, it's not the case. If that model is true, let's say the simple model is true, we shouldn't see any unemployment. Okay? But in reality, people do have unemployment, and in this case, unemployment is basically it's a synonym for looking for job seeking. Okay? There are people who are not working and look for jobs. Okay? So we need in a way, the theory that explains why those people actually exist. Okay? So that's the basic theory of job search. Okay? So in a way, this is a more realistic model of how people get jobs. Well, it's not very realistic, but more realistic than very simple model. Okay, so in this job search, okay, think the outline of the model is that first, the individual's utility depends only on wage. Okay, we simplify that people care about the wage. So in this model, the job is the wage. Okay, and we assume the number of periods is infinite. Okay, so it's not. At first, it may look a little ridiculous assumption, but actually, it's okay in most of the times because it depends on how you divide periods anyway. If one period is like 1 week, then you can think of number of periods is really almost infinite. Okay, now think of a person who's unemployed and look for a job. Okay, unemployed automatically means looking for a job. Okay? So this unemployed person in each period, okay? In each period, so basically, let's say one period is, let's say, 1 week or something, or it can be a 1 day. Or let's say it's a 1 week. Each week, for this person, okay, 2 things can happen. So this person looking for a job, and then for a given week, this person may get no job offer. Okay, so for a week, this person looked for a job but didn't get anything. Okay, or the person may get 1 offer. Okay, So there is a company saying that, okay, why don't you work with us? Okay? So let's say that's the situation. You know? Think of yourself as unemployed person. So one period for a given week, this may happen. I mean, you may think, why one? You can be 2 or 3. I mean, that's possible. And it doesn't matter, because if it's 2, 3, then we can just divide the period more finely, and then we can make it one offer. So actually, it doesn't matter. So it's a one offer. Okay, what is offer? The offer, in this case, the individual cares only about the wage. Offer is just the wage. Okay, so job offer is something like this. I will give you this amount of wage. If you want this amount of wage, then you can work with us. That's it. Okay? So it's basically the offer means you're going to take this wage or you're not going to take this wage. Okay? Now, then the wage offer itself, let's think about it. Now, let's think of yourself looking for a job, let's say after your graduation or near graduation. What would you do? Let's say you care about only the wage, let's assume. First, when you start your job, obviously, I mean, most of the people who are looking for a job have some idea that how much they can get. Okay? If you have no idea whatsoever how much I would get, that's a big problem. You need to know that, okay, what is the wage range I can expect? Okay? We can call that wage distribution. For example, this particular person, okay, so let's say this person is looking for a job, and this person knows that his or her offer will come from this distribution, which means this. This person would get the minimum 500,000 won per month. That's the minimum. So you may look for a job, and then you say, okay, at minimum, I would get this amount. Okay, so probably most of you have an idea that what is the minimum I can expect. And then let's say this person knows the maximum would be 3 million won per month. Okay, so any offer will get, this person will get, come from in between. Now, not only the range, but also this person knows distribution, meaning the probability of getting a particular offer. Okay, so the very low offer, that's low probability. Okay, very high offer, also low probability. So most offers probably in between like this, let's say between 1.3 and 2.3 million. Okay, so let's say you probably, when you look for a job, you probably have that idea, right? So if I get a job, at the minimum I would get this. At the maximum I would get this, but usually I would get offer around this. Okay, on average is something like this. So if you know that distribution, then you can actually judge, for example, whether this is a good offer. Let's say if the person gets 2.5 million per month, then for this person actually, it may be a pretty good offer. Okay, if the person gets, let's say, 1 million won only, then maybe it's quite a bad offer, okay, in a sense. So let's say this person knows. Okay, we assume this person knows the distribution. Okay? So each person, when the person gets an offer, this offer basically comes from this distribution, which means that there is low probability of getting very low offer or very high offer, but there is a quite a probability of getting, let's say, around middle offer. Okay, get that idea? Okay, so that's the wage distribution we are talking about. Okay, now when the offer comes, the person should determine whether the person accepts it or rejects it. Okay, so the person would determine accept. Okay, then accept means in this simple model, work for, let's say, the offer, let's say that it's W. Work with W forever. Okay, so there's an infinite period of time, I said. So if the person accepts the offer, basically this person will get W forever. Okay, so there is no change in the job in this model. You can make the model much more complicated by, introducing the change in jobs and stuff, but actually, for our purposes, we don't need that complication. And you may reject it, okay, for whatever reason. Probably because you feel like this is too low, okay? And if the person rejects it, what happens? We go back here, okay? Get it? And if the person gets no offer, also we go back here. Okay. So job search process is basically repeat of this process over and over and over. Okay. Unless you accept it and then you just finish the process, whole thing. Unless you accept the offer, basically we just repeat this cycle over and over. Okay. Now, think about it. No. Okay. So this is the last part I talked about. So think about it. How should this person determine whether to reject it or accept it? Okay. Now, the way of thinking about it is think like economics. Think like an economist. Basically, the person should assess the relative benefit of accepting the offer and rejecting the offer. If the value, let's say value of accepting the offer and value of rejecting the offer. If the value of accepting the offer exceeds the value of rejecting the offer, okay, should accept it. Otherwise, should reject it. Okay? So in some cases, actually, value of rejecting the offer is greater than the value of accepting the offer. Okay? So how we actually formalize that process, we will use this model. Okay. So what we should think of first, value of accepting the offer, or in our discounted expected utility of accepting wage offer W. So that's the value of accepting the offer. So when you accept the offer, basically you will get W dollars every period, forever. And then if I accept it, so what is the value of it? Basically, because it happens in the future, you have to discount it, okay? And then you sum them up, and you can calculate the value. Actually, it's pretty simple. Okay, VEW, okay, we use the term VEW. VEW, discounted expected utility of an employee receiving W each period. So if the person accepts it, this person will be employed and get W dollars every period. So the value of being employed for W dollars, we call it VEW. Okay. What is VEW? VEW, okay, VU. Okay, we will use VU also. VU is the discounted expected utility of an unemployed individual. So if you are unemployed, then you get VU. Okay, R is for the discounting. We call R the discount rate. Okay, what is VEW? Actually, it's quite simple. VEW is simply getting W every period. Okay, so if I accept it, next period I will get W. Discounted by 1 plus R. Second period I get W, so discounted 1 plus R squared. Then W 1 plus R cubed, and then you just do it forever. And then there's a very simple formula how to calculate this infinite sum. You do it, that is simply W over R. Okay, this is just a known mathematical formula of infinite sum. Right? It's very simple way of thinking. So it's simple. In this model, if you accept it, then your value of accepting the offer is simply W divided by R. Okay, get that? So W divided by R, you see, okay? You can draw a graph of W divided by R. It's pretty simple. It's basically, let's say the x-axis, okay? So it's a wage offer you get, okay? Y-axis is just the value of accepting the offer, and we just saw that it's simply W divided by R. So which means it should be just a straight line, okay, with the slope 1 over r. Okay? So it's obviously when you have higher offer, the value of accepting the offer just goes up, right? Get that? Now you have VEW. Now then, what you should do when you get an offer? What you should do is simple. Now you know VEW. If you know VU, you just compare VW and VU. Okay? Now in this case, VU does not depend on W because you just reject it. So for the unemployed person, what offer you have received in the past doesn't matter, right? Because it has nothing to do with the wage offer you just rejected. VU is simply in that way. It's simply just a flat line. It has nothing to do with W. So now if your VU is this, and if your wage offer is here, what you should do? Accept it or reject it? You just reject it, right? And if your wage offer is here, what you should do? You just accept it. Okay? It's a simple rule. And what is the value to determine? That is x. We call it x. And then we will use the name later anyway. So this x value. What is the x value? X value is simply VE x equals VU, right? So the wage offer that makes this person indifferent between accepting the offer and rejecting the offer, that is x. Okay? Get that? So it's a very simple rule, and it basically gives us the optimal job search strategy. What is it? If the unemployed person receives no offer in period T, then he or she should continue the search. Okay. Now, second, if the unemployed person receives wage offer W, he or she accepts it if the value of being employed for age W, W over R, exceeds the value of staying unemployed and searching, which is VU. Okay. Otherwise, this person searches for another period. So compare VEW and VU. And it can be simplified in a way that the wage rate X that makes VEW equals VU, we call reservation wage or the asking wage. Okay? So reservation wage is the wage rate that you are willing to accept. Asking wage in a sense that the wage rate you are asking. Okay? Anyway, basically the same term. Actually, we have seen the reservation wage before. Right? Reservation wage we have used in the probably the beginning of the lecture is that makes the person indifferent between working and not working, right? So this is a little bit different, but pretty similar. So in this case, this person, the wage rate that makes this person indifferent between accepting the offer and or rejecting the offer. Okay, basically the same idea. Okay, so that is called the reservation wage. Now you can simplify that. The job seeker accepts any wage offer exceeding X, that reservation wage. So you have a reservation wage, and then you go on a job search, then you get an offer, that offer exceeds the reservation wage, you just reject it. I mean, accept it, sorry. If the offer falls short of your reservation wage, you reject it, and then you just do another search. Okay? That's the optimal strategy. So in a way that you know, the person will basically, you know, in general will reject a low offer and accept a higher offer. Okay? But the person does not just infinitely wait until you get the highest offer possible. You should have a certain value that you are willing to accept this. Okay? I mean, there is a possibility that you may get better offer actually in the future, but waiting for it, the value, expected value waiting for it is actually too low. okay, compared to accepting this offer right now. So you have to accept it. Okay. So that may be your idea. When you do job search, you should have that certain ideas that what is your reservation wage. Okay. So if you have a clear idea of what you want, then it makes your life much easier when you get an offer, whether I should accept it or reject it. Okay. But obviously, the real world is much more complicated than this. In this case, it just talks about only the wage, right? But in real world, the job offer consists of many different things. So it's not as simple as this, but anyway. Now, this model is surprisingly simple, okay? But it has very rich implications. First, let's think about the VU itself. What determines the value of VU, staying unemployed? Let's think about it. Okay. What is the value? What determines the value of staying unemployed? Is there any value? Okay, one thing. Arrival rate of job offers. How often you can get the offer. Okay. So I said that there is a no offer, one offer. Okay. Most of the times, let's say you get no offer, then value of staying unemployed you can think it's pretty low. Let's say if I reject it and if I do another search, there is a very high probability I will get no offer one anyway. Then obviously the staying unemployed has lower value. But relatively, let's say you get offers quite regularly, right, quite often. Obviously, the staying unemployed has higher value because you will have more chance to get better offers. Okay, that is lambda. So arrival rate of job offers, usually we use lambda. So this is the probability of getting an offer in a given period. Okay, this one may depend on obviously the state of the economy. If the economy is booming, the arrival rate is likely to be high because the employers are looking for people. But if the economy is in, let's say, recession or depression, whatever, then the arrival rate may be quite low. Okay? That's the case, then value of staying unemployed and looking for a job is lower. It also, another important thing is it also may depend on characteristics of the unemployed person. Lambda is not the same for everyone. Okay? Let's say it may depend on your age, how old, how young you are. It may depend on gender. It may depend on your education level, skills, whatever. Okay? Think about yourselves, right? Looking for a job. Some person may be very qualified. So this person may get offers like quite often. Some person may not be that qualified. Then this person may get, just offer like very infrequently. Okay? So obviously that the value of staying unemployed is much higher for the former than the latter, right? So if you don't get a job offer much, then getting one offer has it's much more valuable than those people who have lots of offers. So lambda depend on the state of the economy. Also, it may vary from individual to individual. So lambda, it should determine the value of staying unemployed. Okay, another important thing, we are thinking about those people who may get unemployment benefit, amount of unemployment benefit, obviously. Okay. So you are unemployed. While you are unemployed, you will get let's say, benefit. Okay. So if the benefit is quite high, then staying unemployed is not that bad. Okay. You have another chance to look for a job, and then you can live on your benefit. But if the benefit is very low or nothing, obviously value of staying unemployed can be quite low because you don't have any money to support yourself. So unemployment benefit is also quite an important factor when you think about it. So another thing is the cost of job search. No, job search is not free. Okay? I mean, in most basic terms, like it costs money for you to, let's say, search for a job, or you may have you have to do, do applications, and then you have to go to an interview, all those things, right? So you can think of it doing all cost of all doing it. It's a time consuming, and also that also it consumes money, right? For example, you have to buy a suit or buy a dress or something to go on interviews and all those kind of things. You have to travel, so those things, the cost of job search. If the cost of job search is low, then value of staying unemployed is obviously likely to be high, but if this cost is very high, then the value of unemployed can be quite low. So that is the things that, actually you can think of other things as well. I just listed 3 important ones. For example, like how much savings you have, for example. I talked about unemployment benefit, but anyways, another thing may be like how much savings you have. So let's say you have lots of money in your pocket. So even if you're unemployed, let's say you can, you can live on your savings, then value of being unemployed can be high. But if you have no money, obviously the value of being unemployed can be quite low. Okay? So those kind of things that you can think of. So since we are talking about unemployment benefit, actually we are thinking about this. Actually, you can, in a way, that unemployment benefit includes those kind of savings, but we just exclude savings. Okay, so now, what we are going to think is the duration of unemployment. How long the person stays unemployed. Actually, we can use a formula, mathematical formula to get that number. So probably that an unemployed person gets employed in a period. It's simple. First, the person should get an offer. That offer comes at the probability lambda. And you get an offer, and that offer itself should be greater than X, reservation wage, right? So lambda times probability that offer exceeds the reservation wage is the probability that you accepting the offer and finishing being unemployed. Okay? So this is the probability of getting out of unemployment. Okay? And then expected duration of unemployment, write it this way, 1 minus this. So for example, something like this. Let's say you have a 10% probability of getting out of unemployment for a given week. Then how long does it take to finally, what is the expected duration? Because each week, let's say you have 10% of just getting out of it. So in 10 weeks, think about it, for each 10 months, so each week 10%. So in 10 weeks, 100%, simply think about it, get out of the unemployment. So in that way, we just write 1 minus lambda times this probability. Actually, it's not that simple, okay? Because we need to assume certain probability distribution, and then we use this. But anyway, just intuitively, you can think of that way. So 10%, so 1 over 0.1, so 10 weeks is the expected duration. It's each week you have like 5% of getting out of unemployment. It will take, on average, it takes 20 weeks, for example. So that is this. Now, unemployment duration is a quite important statistic in the sense that if you think of the person, if you think of a, let's say, policymaker thinking about unemployment, obviously the size of how many people get unemployed, let's say, in each month is important. But also quite important is how fast this person just gets out of it, how long they stay unemployed. It's also quite an important, policy issue if you think about it. Once the person gets unemployed, let's say they tend to stay unemployed for a very long period of time. That is a serious issue. Okay? But let's say the person gets unemployed, but let's say most of the people quickly gets the job, let's say within a month. then when you think about it, then that kind of unemployment may not be a that serious problem. Because even if we have unemployment, let's say most people will get a job pretty quickly, so it is less of a problem. But let's say you have an unemployed person and stays unemployed for months, even years, then it's going to be a serious problem. So duration of unemployment is quite an important thing to think about when you think of unemployment. And then it gives a nice model, nice formula that what determines this duration. As you can see that if job offer rate decreases, then unemployment duration will increase. So if the economy is in recession, so arrival of job offer is pretty low, then people will be unemployed for longer period of time. During boom time, because they can get an offer quite quickly. So even if there is unemployment, the unemployment is likely to be short. Okay? And also those people who have characteristics that are attractive to potential employers can get out of unemployment pretty quickly. Well, let's say you are unskilled. Let's say you don't have a skill that employers want. Then lambda is pretty low. For these type of people, their duration may be quite long. Okay? So you don't have proper skills or something. Okay? So that is quite important thing. So how to increase lambda, for example. Okay? Another thing is obviously this part, probability. So what determines the probability? Basically determined by x. If your reservation wage is pretty high, then this probability is likely to be low. That means expected duration will be high. So let's say for the people who have very high reservation wage, basically it takes a long time for the person to get an offer that exceeds the reservation wage. If your reservation wage is pretty low, let's say, then it's much easier for you to get the offer that exceeds your reservation wage. So those people who have higher reservation wage, generally it takes longer to get the job, and those who have low reservation wage, it takes shorter period of time to get the job and get out of unemployment. Okay? So x is quite important. So lambda and x is important. So we will talk about x, the reservation wage. Now, what is the reservation? Now, think about it. If you, okay, through. Now, what determines the x? You know. If you think of the diagram itself, the diagram you have seen, okay, and what? So, what makes x bigger? VU increases, then x gets bigger, right? VU decreases, x gets smaller. So the value of staying unemployed goes up, the reservation wage increases. Value of staying unemployed gets smaller, then reservation wage decreases. Okay, it's quite simple. So anything that can increase VU will increase x. In that sense, the unemployment insurance benefit goes up, what happens? If the unemployment insurance benefit goes up, VU will increase. Then reservation wage will increase. Okay? The job search cost decreases. It's cheaper. Goes up, increases. The arrival rate of offer increases. Arrival rate of offer increases, then VU will increase. Okay? So X will increase. So the expected duration of job search increases if the unemployment insurance benefit increases. Why? Because X increases, that makes the expected duration of job search to increase. Job search cost decreases, then expected duration of job search increases. Okay. Arrival rate has an unambiguous effect because when lambda goes up, then VU goes up, so expected wage goes up, reservation wage goes up, but at the same time, lambda increases, so you will get more offers. Okay, so they may cancel out each other, or it depends on which one dominates which. Lambda goes up, you may have longer duration or shorter duration. So lambda is not clear. So that is the one that we have to think of. For our particular topic, the unemployment insurance benefit increases the reservation wage and in turn increases the duration of unemployment. That is the basically classical theory about the labor market effect of unemployment insurance benefit. So there's a positive side. Positive side of unemployment insurance is obviously that it will protect people from income fluctuations in case of job loss. But there's a downside. The downside is that it gives actually an incentive to an individual stay unemployed for a longer period of time. Okay. In our case, for example, you have seen that most of people, 8 out of 10, stays unemployed until the maximum benefit period expires, right? So in Korea's case, it may be 6 months, 8 months, and at least minimum 3 months, 6 to 8 months, right? So in the sense that people are basically sensitive to, it shows that people are very sensitive to unemployment insurance benefit duration. Okay, in the sense, it makes sense. It makes sense from the theoretical point of view. Also, it seems like it's consistent with the data. Right? People just stay until they have the maximum benefit. Okay. So, they just said that in the basic job search model, an increase of the unemployment insurance benefit increases the expected duration of unemployment. Okay. Okay, so another possibility is also that this one is a direct one, but there is actually another model you need. But anyway, so intuitively, if you have unemployment insurance benefit increases, let's say, then you have less urgency to find a job. Okay? Now, in the basic search model, we just thought that the individual just to search for a job and offer comes. But in reality, people may have different level of job search effort. Some people try to find a job really vigorously, like does lots of search and goes to lots of interviews. Or some people probably will look for a job, but not that hard. Okay, so obviously the effort level itself is also an important factor. Actually, I mean, if we have like more complicated model that includes effort level, then we can see it mathematically, but you're not going to do it. But anyway, intuitively, it makes sense. Okay? So effort level itself will determine the duration as well. So if the effort level is quite high, then this person is likely to have shorter unemployment. If the effort level is low, they're likely to have longer unemployment. Unemployment benefit itself may actually gives a person incentive to lower the effort level. Because there is, in a way, it's a bit less urgency. No, if you think about it, you don't have money for food. Let's say for next week, what did you do? You will search for a job really, really hard, probably. But anyway, you would have some money. Probably you wouldn't search for a job as hard as you may without that money. So that can also increase the duration of unemployment. Okay, now there is actually another, okay, now, a little more, now, but up to this point, we have said that increase of unemployment benefit increases unemployment duration. But there is another theory that we can think of. What is this? Now, in the third one is this. Let's assume that there are two groups of people, more realistic. Those who are covered by unemployment insurance, those who are not covered by unemployment insurance. As I said yesterday, that unemployment insurance, to get the benefit, you should have contributed to the insurance system for, in Korea's case, at least 18 months, right? 1.5 years, was it? Oh. Anyway, you need to contribute to it. I cannot remember the number of periods. Anyway, so what it means is when you try to get a job for the first time, let's say, for you guys, you wouldn't get anything, even if you stay unemployed. But once you get the job, once you get the first job, then for your next unemployment, you will get the benefit. Because for the first job, let's say you can qualify for the benefit. Okay. Now, which means is this, that being qualified for unemployment insurance itself can actually raise the value of accepting wage offer. Okay? Because when you accept the offer, you get the wage, okay, the same, but at the same time, you will get the benefit when you become unemployed later. Now, if you stay unemployed now, you wouldn't get any benefit. So the fact that you will be covered, okay, once you get the job, it will increase the value of accepting the offer. Okay, get the idea? It's like extra benefit of accepting the first offer, not the second one, just the first offer. So first offer, even if, let's say, it's a little low, you think, okay, if I accept this offer, okay, now, in this model, okay, now, you may be confused. When I said the simple model, we said that once you accept it, you wouldn't be able to get out of it. You would work for it forever. But in this model, what we think is that actually you can change your job, okay? So think of the case where you can change your job, and at the same time, you would be able to be covered from your second search, but not the first search. First search, you don't have any benefit. Second search, you can have it, okay? Then, what it means? It means for the first offer, actually, even it's lower, you may have an incentive to accept it, to get the coverage, okay? So that's the third idea. So third idea, which means that actually in that case, if the unemployment benefit is quite high, then which means that then the value of accepting the first offer actually goes up, right? So that means that this person will actually have a shorter duration of unemployment. First time unemployment will be short if unemployment benefit is quite high. In Korea's case, for example, right, our replacement rate is quite low, 30%. But if you think, Switzerland, you get 80% for the first year. Think about it. Now, I don't have anything, but if I get a job, and then if I lose that job later, then I will get 80% of my wage as my unemployment insurance benefit. It can be quite attractive thing to have it. So how you have it? You have to get a job at first. Okay? That means that in the first time, this person may actually have a shorter duration. So that is like a kind of counter argument that TU may decrease for the first time unemployed. Okay? So for more general people, unemployment duration will be longer if the unemployment insurance benefit is higher. But for the first time, for let's say for younger people, okay, their unemployment insurance duration may be even lower because of unemployment insurance benefit. Okay. So another thing that we saw in the statistics is that the unemployment insurance benefit decreases as the duration increases, right? First year it gives Switzerland like it gives 80%, second year it gives like 50%, third year it gives you like a 20% something. So it decreases. Why does it decrease? Basically, it's a simple idea. If it decreases, then your reservation wage will decrease as well, right? So which means that the individuals are more likely to accept an offer when the unemployment duration increases. Okay? So if the UI benefit amount decreases as unemployment duration increases, then the reservation wage will fall and the probability of getting employed should increase over the duration of employment. So the probability of accepting the offer will increase as the amount decreases. So that's why actually in most countries unemployment insurance benefit is designed to decrease as you stay unemployed for a longer period of time. Because what they want is to get you out of it, right? They don't want you to be unemployed forever. Obviously, that's a pretty bad thing. So they have to give you an incentive to take a job. How would you do it? One way of doing it is that reducing the benefit, okay, so that people are more likely to accept the offer. Okay, but now, as I said, that there is obviously a downside, but there is upside. What is it? If the benefit increases, then you can actually claim that it will help unemployed person to be more selective. Now, for example, like if you have no money in your pocket and then you are unemployed, no benefit, what would you do? What you have to do is to just take a job, whatever, right? There is no such thing as, your reservation wage will be extremely low, right? Any job, because I have nothing to eat tomorrow, right? So what happens is you may end up with a job that you hate, right? You took it only because I have no money. So in that kind of situation, people will be unhappy and they will not be as productive as they would be with a job that they like, right? So actually making the person to accept whatever job they first come across is actually a pretty bad idea from, let's say, even the policymaker's point of view. You may have short unemployment, but you will have a bunch of unhappy workers who are not working to their full potential. So you need to give them a chance to find a job that suits them the best. How would you do it? You have to give them time, right? You have to give them resources to support themselves while they are looking for a job. That's why we have unemployment insurance. Right? So if we increase the benefit, it will help unemployed persons to achieve better job matches when they return to work. Okay? So finally, they get the job. They think it matches them best. And for that kind of job, people will actually be more productive. Job that fits your qualifications, your taste, so you will work much harder than in the job that you hate, right? So there's a downside always. There is always downside, upside. Okay, so downside of unemployment insurance benefit can make person to stay unemployed for a long period of time. That obviously actually strains the financing of the unemployment benefit system. Okay? But there's an upside is that you may help the people to find the job that they can be most productive. So it may actually help the overall economy better. Okay? There's always downside upside. I mean, obviously if there is a policy that has only upside, we wouldn't talk about it in our class. There is a policy that has only downside, we wouldn't have that policy, right, to think about anyway. So there are policies that we talk about as always upside and downside. Okay? Okay, I will just do it too quickly. But there is actually quite a theoretical literature in economics about how to design unemployment insurance. Okay, as I said, the unemployment insurance has downside, upside. So has been a research about how you maximize the upside and how you minimize the downside, how you do it. Okay, and then there is actually a moral hazard issue as well, because I said that the moral hazard is something like, so if you have no insurance, you would look for a job very hard. But if you have an insurance, you have an incentive to not to look for a job, or just to look for a job less hard. So it will make you to stay unemployed for a longer period of time. So let's say if you think of the government as an insurance company, the insurance company, it does not like it, right? They will pay you as long as you are unemployed. But since you are paid, you have an incentive to stay unemployed for a long period of time. And then obviously the insurer, the government cannot know exactly how hard you are looking for a job. Actually, in Korea's case, as I said, that in most countries actually, probably in every country, you have to give proof that I'm looking for a job, as hard as I can. And so yeah, as I said, they send applications and stuff. Okay, but it seems like people can just show the proof regardless of real effort they actually make. In Korea's case, it's almost never denied. Okay, so obviously it gives the problem. It basically shows the problem of this insurance system. So, actually, if you think about it, if the insurer, the government knows exactly how hard you are looking for a job, then it's pretty easy system to make. If you are looking for a job, if you are not looking for a job, you don't pay anything, okay, to prevent this behavior. If you look for a job really hard, what you should do, you should give them full insurance, 100% replacement rate. Why? Because that these people will be most happy. They're as I said, if it's a perfect market, right? That everyone should be fully insured. That's the most efficient outcome. So in this case, it's simple. If the person does everything the person can do, they need to fully insure that person. Okay. So even if you pay in full, this person will get out of unemployment quite quickly. Anyway. For that person, you don't pay any benefit. So that's the best. But in the case where you cannot verify, which is usually the case, then the theoretical literature says that it is optimal to reduce the benefit amount over the duration of unemployment. Okay, that's what usually the countries doing it, and or to pay subsidy to those who find a job early, okay, to encourage people to get out of unemployment quickly. Okay, so you have to actually give them the incentive to look for a job as hard as they can. So the way of doing it is to this and that. So that's the theory. So most of the system actually follows this idea. Okay. In Korea's case, for example, I gave the that early reemployment benefit that gives the extra money to people who found a job, right, before the half of the expiration. So that is this. I think we should stop here today, and then we